The alien warship Krall's Pride floated silently above the planet Veltar. Its dark hull blocked the sun like a shadow of doom. Inside the ship, Captain Rax stood tall, his scaly skin shining under red lights, his yellow eyes glowing with hunger. This was not his first raid, would not be his last. Veltar was a small farming colony. No weapons. No shields. Just soft-bellied researchers and weak workers, an easy target. The kind of place Rax's crew loved to hit. "This won't take long," Rax growled, stepping into the drop chamber. His crew brutal reptilian raiders cheered and slammed. Their claws against metal. "Take what you want, slaves. Data, fuel, burn the rest." The raiders launched down to the surface like angry wasps. They kicked in doors, grabbed screaming colonists, and shot anyone who resisted. Fires lit the sky. As labs and greenhouses exploded, Rax's men laughed, dragging away crying scientists and crates full of supplies. But in the back of an underground lab, something unusual waited. A metal cage. And inside it, a human male sat silently. He looked around 30 Earth years old. His arms were chained, his body thin but not weak. There were bruises on his skin, but no fear in his eyes. He stared forward, not blinking, not speaking. 2 raiders walked past the cage. One stopped. "What is this thing?" "This looks like a human," said the other. "But why is it in a cage?" A data tag hung from the bars. It read, "Subject E9, human male, companion species. Handle with caution." The first raider laughed. "Companion? You mean like a pet?" He snorted. "Soft little thing," he banged on the bars. "Hey, human, bark for me." The human didn't move. His eyes locked on the alien, calm, steady. Cold, the raider opened the cage door halfway. "Let's see how tough you really before." He could finish. The human stood. Just stood, slowly, silently. For a moment, the raider froze. Something about the man's posture, the way he stared. It felt wrong, not scared, not broken, just waiting. "Back away," the second raider said. Something's not right, but it was too late. The first raider stepped forward and the human smiled. Back on the ship, the raiders returned, laughing and dragging prisoners. Rax watched with pride as his men delivered loot and slaves. Among them was the human now in shackles, his eyes down, silent. "Why bring that one?" Rax asked. "Odd pet," the raider replied. "Figured we could sell it or feed it to the grubs." Rax looked closer. The human's face showed no fear, no hate, just patience. "HMPH," Rax muttered. "Lock him up." They put the human in a small dark cell at the back of the ship, next to fuel tanks and unused escape pods. No cameras, no guards. That night, the lights flickered. A low alarm buzzed through the halls. One of the engineers noticed strange activity on the ship's internal systems. Doors opening and closing by themselves. Lights cutting out in certain zones. "Cameras glitching, must be a power bug," he said. 2 guards were sent to check the prisoner's cell. They didn't come back. The next shift found their weapons on the floor, twisted, broken. Blood on the walls. But no bodies. The humans. Chains lay empty. The cell door was open. A warning flashed across the control room screen. "Containment failure, subject E9 missing." Panic spread. Rax slammed his fist against the wall. How did it get loose? It was in chains. But deep down, something in him knew. This wasn't an accident. The human didn't escape. He allowed himself to be taken in the quiet lower. Decks, a single raider walked alone, scanning the hall with a heat sensor. The device beeped once, then went silent. He turned. Nothing. He turned again. Still nothing. Then the lights. Cut out, a hand grabbed him from above and he screamed. Meanwhile, Rax replayed the lab footage from Veltar. He saw the human standing in the cage, still calm, like a beast pretending to sleep. He zoomed in on the man's eyes, not pet eyes, predator eyes. And at that moment, Rax realized the truth. This was never just a raid. It was the start of a hunt, the warship. Krall's Pride was no longer laughing too. Guards had gone silent. Then for more, The human was gone. No trace. No sound. But something was moving through the ship. It wasn't afraid. Captain Rax stood on the command deck, his claws tapping the metal floor. His yellow eyes narrowed as he watched a red blink on the screen. It showed motion, near the engineering bay. "That's impossible," said Karnak, the ship's second in command. The prisoner had no weapons, no access codes. "He's no prisoner anymore," Rax growled. "Send in the hunters." 12 heavily armed raiders marched into the halls. Each wore armor, carried plasma rifles, and had kill counts painted on their chests. They were not afraid of anything until now. Down in the vents above engineering, the human crouched in the dark. He didn't breathe hard. He didn't sweat. His pure hands were stained red. He listened. Footsteps, 12 of them. Heavy boots. Fast. He smiled. They were hunting him, but they had no idea who he really was. Back in the command room, Karnak pulled up the old files taken from the colony. One report caught his eye. Subject E9. Origin, unknown. Species, human. Condition dormant. Alert, do not disturb without clearance. What's this? Karnak frowned. Dormant. He kept reading. Subject entered stasis voluntarily. Strength, reaction speed, cognitive function, all far beyond standard human limits. Origin unclear. It's possibly a remnant from Earth's final defense initiative. He turned to Rax, "Captain, I think you let us take him." Rax's jaw tightened. "Let us." "He wasn't a pet," Karnak said slowly. "He was a weapon. One they couldn't control." The hunters reached engineering. They split into 2 groups. One took the upper floor. One moved down. "Thermal's clear," one whispered into his cum. "Nothing here." But above them, in the ceiling crawl space, a panel shifted. The human dropped. Silently behind them, before the first raider could turn. His neck snapped. The second tried to scream, but a hand covered his mouth. Sickening crack, and he dropped. The others spun around too late. Blur moved between them fast, brutal, unstoppable, in just 10 seconds. 6 elite hunters were down. Karnak watched as the life signs disappeared from the monitor. "All dead," said his voice shaking. "Call them back," Rax ordered. "Lock down the lower decks." "But sir, do IT?" The ship's lights dimmed. Urgency systems kicked in. But the alarms were already too late. Somewhere in the dark, the human stood over the fallen hunters. He picked up a plasma rifle, looked at it, and set it down. He didn't need it. He walked past them, barefoot, quiet. A security cam turned toward him. He stopped. He looked directly into it, straight into the lens. Then he raised his hand and drew a line across his throat. The camera feed cut to static. Elsewhere, 2 raiders ran to seal off engineering. They turned a corner and stopped. A single word was written on the wall in smeared blood. "Remember." One of them shook. "Remember what?" Then the lights above them exploded. On the command deck, a message flashed across the main screen. "E9 active. Containment failure." Rax growled. "Why didn't the scientists kill him?" "Maybe they couldn't," Karnak said. "Maybe he wasn't human anymore." "What do you mean?" Karnak turned pale. "I mean, what if he's the last soldier from Earth? Final weapon left behind when Earth burned. A sleeper." "Okay. Earth is gone," Rax snapped. "We saw it ourselves. But what if he didn't?" In the hallways, Rax's crew started falling apart. Some wanted to run. Some tried hiding in the armory, but found it empty. The human had already been there. He had taken what he needed, broken the rest. One crew member tried to launch an escape pod. It exploded. He had rigged it. Near the fuel deck, a terrified engineer crawled into a vent. He whispered into his cums. "He's not just hunting us. Knows the ship. He knows where everything is." Then his signal cut out. And then, no. Silence. No gunfire. No footsteps. Just darkness and fear. Captain Rax stood alone in the command center. Every exit was sealed. Half the crew was gone. The other half had stopped responding. He looked at the screen again. One camera feed was still working. It showed a hallway empty. Then the human stepped into viewcom, slow, covered in blood but unharmed. He walked toward the camera, stopped, and smiled. Rax slammed his fist into the console. "Who are you?" The human didn't answer. He simply reached up, and the feed went dark. Captain Rax stood in the center of the command deck, fists clenched, claws digging into his own palm. "This is my ship," he growled. "My rules, my hunt." But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't the hunter anymore. The lights in Sector 3 blinked red. Another search team had gone silent. No comms, no alarms, just silence. Karnak stepped forward, voice low. "That was our third unit. We sent in the best. They were supposed to be killers." Rax snapped. "They were," Karnak said. "And now they nothing." Across the warship crawls pride. Fear spread like fire. Warriors locked doors. Officers whispered behind closed panels. Some even hid in storage bays, weapons shaking in their claws. Everyone knew the truth, but no one said it. The human was still moving, still watching, still killing, and no one could stop him. One deck below the command center, a security squad moved in formation. Plasma rifles ready, motion sensors active. They searched slowly, room by room. Then, clunk echoed in the vents. Above, they froze. "Check the ceiling," Juan whispered. Another aimed his flashlight up. Nothing. Then a body dropped from above, face twisted in fear, throat torn open. It landed with a wet thud between them. Before they could react, the lights went out. Screams followed. The comms went dead. Captain Rax slammed his fist on the table. "He's toying with us." Karnak stared at the static on the screen. "Knows this ship better than us. He's planning something," Rax growled. "Then we make him scared." Rax gathered his remaining troops. "We seal off the central deck, flood the vents with gas, force him out. Burn every corridor if we have to." The crew obeyed. What else could they do? They released the gas, the green choking. They set up flamers and motion drones. They placed auto turrets in every hallway. For a few minutes, everything was quiet still. Then one of the turrets activated. Target acquired. BZZT. It fired, then exploded. On screen, they saw the human walk out of the smoke and bothered. He'd wrapped himself in a torn heat shield. The gas didn't affect him. He disappeared again. A minute later, another turret exploded, then another, then the lights shut off. All of them. Now the ship was fully dark. Only emergency. Red glows lit the halls. Captain Rax looked at Karnak. "Where is he?" Karnak whispered. "Everywhere." In a lower hallway, a group of frightened warriors backed into a corner. Suddenly, one heard breathing behind him. He turned. Nothing. Then his head was smashed into the wall. The others screamed. They fired blindly. Too late. One by one, they fell. Back at command, Rax stared at the few remaining life signs of his crew. One blinked, then stopped. Another blinked, then flatlined. Karnak stepped back from the console. "We're not chasing him." Swallowed hard. "We're walking into his trap." Then something unexpected happened. The ship's intercom crackled, and for the first time, the human spoke. His voice was calm. It's cold, almost whispering. "You took what wasn't yours?" He laughed when I was in chains. "You forgot what humans were. I'm here to remind you." Then silence again. "Shut it off." Rax roared, but it was too late. Everyone on the ship had heard it. Fear turned to panic, desperate. Rax gave one final order. "All units retreat to the core vault. Protect the power drive. That's where he'll go next." They ran whoever was left. But as they reached the hallway to the vault, they stopped in shock. A wall of fire blocked the path. Behind them, doors slammed shut. They were locked in, and from the shadows behind the flames, a shape stepped out, not wearing armor, not holding a weapon, just standing, calm, unhurt. The human won. Warrior charged. The human caught his arm and twisted. Bones snapped like wood. The next one shot a plasma bolt. Human ducked and moved so fast. It was like a blur. Grabbed the alien's throat and lifted him. It's off the ground. The rest tried to run. Too late, he was already on them. Captain Rax watched the monitor. It showed his last squad fall. Fast, silent, brutal. Only 3 signals left now. Him, Karnoka, and the human. Somewhere on the ship, moving closer. We have to abandon ship, Karnak said. Rax stared at him. Can't. He's already locked. Out the escape pods, Karnak's hand shook. Then we're dead. Rax looked around. No, I'm not dying in this rust bucket. Not like this. We turned to the emergency locker. Inside was a heavy weapon, his personal war staff. Made of charged steel, strong enough to break stone. I'll face him myself. In the shadows of the lower deck, the human knelt beside the central terminal. His hands moved quickly. He typed in a long, forgotten code. The ship responded. Core. Access. Granted command override. Granta. He. Stood. Everything was going to plan. The warship Krall's Pride was no longer a war machine. It was a tomb. Half. The crew was dead. Most systems were down. Smoke filled the air. Blood stained the walls. And somewhere in the dark, the human was still hunting. Captain Rax stood alone in the armory. His claws gripped the shaft of his charged war staff. The metal hummed with deadly power. This weapon had ended battles, broken bones, split skulls. He had won many fights with it. But tonight, it felt heavy. Too heavy. Karn, OK, stayed in the control room. His hands trembled as he searched through the stolen data logs taken. From Veltar's science colony, he needed answers. He needed to know what kind of monster was loose on the ship. And then, he found it. A hidden folder, locked with an old Earth code. He bypassed it. The screen turned black. Then a video began. Video log, Colony Research Station number 47, Earth Archive clearance level. Black A. His female voice spoke. This is Dr. Helena Graves, lead researcher of Subject E9. The woman on screen looked tired, her face pale. You've stolen what you don't understand. Subject E9 is not a pet, not a slave. He's a biological weapon left from Earth's final defense project. Behind her, a blurry figure floated in a stasis chamber. Human male, calm. Still. Dr. Graves continued. After Earth fell, we sent him far into space. Deep sleep, hidden among peaceful colonies, was designed to activate when threatened. His body can adapt instantly. He'll change, learn. He doesn't need food. He doesn't age like normal humans. Karnak leaned forward, breath shallow. Dr. Graves looked directly into the camera. If you are seeing this, a mistake. You woke him up. The screen turned red. Warning, do not engage. Karnak's mouth went dry. He turned on his cum. Captain Rax, we were wrong. Rax's voice came in sharp. Speak clearly. He's not just a human. He's a weapon. A ghost from Earth's last days. They didn't keep him in a cage. They locked him up for a reason. Rax didn't answer right. Away then, he growled. I already knew. Karnak froze. What? Rax's voice turned cold. You think I just stumbled onto this colony? I knew what was there. In the armory, Rax stared at a small chip in his hand. A black data crystal, stolen years ago during an old black market deal. The crystal contained legends. Stories of Earth's final hours, of soldiers who never surrendered, of humans who changed themselves to become the last weapon against the Galaxy Project Reclaimer. The files said only one was confirmed to exist. Subject E9. I went there to find him, Rax said into the cum. I wanted to sell him, or use him. I didn't care, Karnak shouted. You brought this on us. I thought he was broken, docile Rax hissed. I didn't know he'd wake up. Karnak whispered, you were warned. Far below them, in the core vault, the human walked calmly through a sealed door. No alarms, no cameras. He'd already shut everything down. The power room was hot and silent. A giant glowing core pulsed in the center. He looked up, then walked toward the central console. His fingers tapped in the codes perfectly. He didn't guess. He remembered because he had seen this ship before, long ago, in another war, another life. This model of ship had been used by Earth's enemies. Now, it would serve Earth's revenge. Back in the control room, Karnak saw a new warning flash across the screen. Core control. Overridden. Self-destruct timer. Armed. 30 minutes. He gasped. He's going to destroy the whole ship. He called Rax again. "Captain, he's in the core. He's locked it down." But there was no answer. Captain Rax was already walking through the smoke-filled hallways, his war staff crackling. He didn't care about the ship anymore. He didn't care about the loot or the crew or the mission. He only wanted one thing, to face the human himself. One-on-one. On the way. Past. Bottas's warriors crushed, broken, tossed aside like trash. He found a wall where someone had written in blood, "Earth remembers." He growled and kept walking. He finally reached the vault door. It was open. Inside stood the human, barefoot, shirtless. Comrax raised his war staff. "You're not so special. You bleed like the rest." The human turned, slowly, and smiled. "You think this is about blood?" he said, voice quiet. "No," the human whispered, stepping forward. "This is about memory." He raised his hands, no weapons, but his eyes glowed with something ancient, something deadly. Rax charged. The door slammed shut behind them. The warship Crawl's pride was counting down to death, to 9 minutes left in the core vault. Sealed behind blast doors, Captain Rax faced the human subject E9. Sweat rolled down the captain's snout. His war staff buzzed with power. The human stood calm, breathing slow, eyes sharp. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They both understood. Only one would leave this room alive far above. In the upper decks, Karnak ran. His claws slipped on the blood-slick floor as he turned the corner. Smoke stung his eyes. Warning lights flashed red, self-destruct activated. He reached the escape pod bay, one last chance to survive, but the moment he entered, he froze. All 12 escape pods were there, and all 12 were. Useless one was missing. The rest had been gutted, wires cut, engines removed, access panels open, explosives packed inside. He backed away in horror. No, no, no. Someone had turned every pod into a bomb. Karnak's cum hissed with static. He tuned it desperate. "Karnak," a voice came through. It was weak, rough. "Rax, the human. He's not even fighting hard. He's playing with me." Crash. Grunt. "He's faster than anything I've seen. Stronger. I hit him with the full charge of the staff. He didn't fall." He just smiled. Static. Silence in the escape pod bay. Karnak trembled. There was no way out. Except one. He turned to the main airlock control panel. Maybe, just maybe, he could launch himself in a sealed crate, no engine. Just push into space. He opened the control box. It was empty. A single word had been scratched into the metal. "Stay." Down in the core vault, Captain Rax stumbled backward. His chest plate was cracked, his shoulder dislocated. One eye swollen shut. The human hadn't used a weapon. He hadn't needed to. He moved like liquid. Every strike was precise. Every dodge effortless. Rax swung wildly. The human ducked, stepped in, and punched the war staff. It shattered in half. Rax fell to his knees, coughing blood. "You were a pet," he spat. "We owned you." The human crouched in front. "Of him, you never owned us," he said. "You only delayed what's coming." Then he reached out and closed Rax's eye for him. 23 minutes. Left Karnak sat on the cold floor of the escape bay. Alone. Shaking. He had tried to run systems. Nothing responded. He had tried to call for help. No signal. The human had cut everything. And the missing escape pod. No gone. No logs. No trace. Then he noticed something odd. His tablet buzzed. One message appeared on the screen. "Incoming file. Earth." Remembers. He opened it. A video played. Old footage. War. Flames. Alien ships bombarding Earth cities. Human soldiers firing back, dying, fighting, then a dark lab. Dozens of tubes. Inside them, humans sleeping, changing, growing. A voice spoke over the image. "They destroyed our world. But they forgot something. You can burn the soil, but not the roots. We made a choice. To evolve. To remember. To wait. We are not gone. We are just beginning. Karnak dropped the tablet. His claws couldn't stop shaking. This wasn't a raid, he whispered. It was a resurrection. Meanwhile, the human walked calmly through the ship. He passed burning walls, broken bodies, shattered systems. He wasn't in a rush. He knew the countdown. He had set it himself. He reached a sealed Dorox's personal chamber. Inside, found what he came for. A black box. A war trophy. Stolen long ago. Inside it something Earth made. Long ago. Signal beacon. He activated it. Coordinates locked. Message sent. He placed it down, walked out, and kept moving. 0.14 minutes left. Karnak stood again. He ran to the window. Port Thurfer outside the ship. He saw something. A small pod. Drifting. Calmly through space. Not from the escape bay. From the lower maintenance. Hatch 1 pod had launched silently, without engine burn. Inside it, maybe the human. Or maybe just the bait. He didn't know. He didn't care. Because he realized something worse. The human never wanted escape. He wanted them to have no escape. 0.7 minutes left. On the bridge, the lights flickered. Screens shut off. The ship groaned. The core hummed louder. Smoke poured into the halls. The voice of the AI spoke one final warning. Critical failure. Total destruction in T-300 seconds. The human stood in the main hallway now, the heart of the ship. He looked around once more and he spoke into the ship's coms. His voice was soft but clear. To those who hear this, remember what happened here. You took from Earth. Now Earth takes back. T-5 minutes. The warship crawls. Pride groaned like a dying beast. Fire spread through the halls. Systems failed. Doors jammed. Smoke filled the vents. And still, the human moved calmly. No panic. No fear. Only purpose. In the center command corridor, Karnak staggered forward, his armor cracked, one leg dragging. He was the last crew member alive. His mind raced. Escape was impossible. He had seen the pods, destroyed, the airlocks welded shut, the engines sabotaged. There was no saving the ship. Only one choice left, or die running. A crash echoed. Down the hall behind him, Karnak turned. The human stepped through the fire shirtless, arms cut, face calm, unarmed. Unstoppable Garn, okay, lifted his weapon. His claws trembled. Why? He shouted, voice shaking. Why not just kill us and leave? The human stared at him and answered in a low, quiet voice. You didn't just raid a colony. You took knowledge. You erased names. You thought we were animals. I'm here to remind you. We remember. Karnak screamed and fired his plasma. Rifled, the bolt hit the human square in the chest. He stumbled back, then straightened, and kept walking. Karnak fired again, his weapon overheating. Glowing red, the human didn't fall. Instead, he ran in 1 second, closed the distance. His fist struck Karnak's, gun shattering it. Another hit to the chest armor cracked. A final elbow to the head end. Karnak slammed into the wall. Dazed but alive, the human stepped back. He didn't kill him, not yet. T-3 minutes. On the bridge, systems were dead. A message flashed on the only working screen. Core meltdown imminent. Goodbye outside the ship. The missing escape pod floated quietly, empty. It had never been meant for escape, just misdirection. And now, from its transmitter, a signal pulsed into deep space. Back inside. The human moved through the burning halls once more. He stopped by. A wall marked with graffiti, "Victory to the Crawl clans. All species kneel." He looked at it for a long moment, then smashed it with his fist. T-. Karnak crawled into the backup control chamber. His head bled. His breathing was rough, and yet something burned inside him. Not hate, not fear. Something else, regret. He tapped into the last log files there. He saw the truth video files, stolen from Veltar. They weren't just studying the SHU, they were guarding him, sacrificing resources to keep him asleep. They feared what would happen if he woke, and now the galaxy would find out. The human walked into the vault where Captain Rax's broken body still lay. He kneeled, whispered something only the dead could hear, then stood and walked to the final control panel. He placed his hand on the scanner. It accepted him, not because he hacked it, but because this ship, model long ago, had been stolen from Earth, and he remembered how to speak to it. "Open all transmission channels," he said. The ship obeyed. T-minus 1 minute, all across space. Silent relays came to life. Signals spread like wildfire. Ships in orbit picked up fragments. Subject E9 active. Earth remembers. This was the first. More will awaken. Then static. Inside the dying ship, Karnak looked up. He saw the human standing in firelight smoke curling around him. "What are you?" Karnak whispered. The human looked at him. "I were the species that lost everything. Now we are the ones who have nothing to lose." He turned, walked toward the escape hatch leading to the manual Eva Bay. Karnak blinked. "But there's nothing out there." The human paused. "I don't need safety. I need witnesses." He launched himself into the void, T-0, from deep space. A flash lit up the dark. Krall's pride exploded like a dying star medal. Screams and fire tearing across the black. Only one thing drifted away. A single figure still alive, floating with a small oxygen pack. Watching the wreckage burn, his eyes were calm. His mission had just begun. Far away, in a hidden human outpost, a console beeped. A woman in a gray uniform stepped forward. "Signal received," she said. An old man nodded beside her. E9 succeeded. He turned to the others behind, him men and women standing in rows. "Now," he said, "we wake the rest." Space lit up like a sunrise. The warship Krall's Pride cracked open in the black, its hull splitting like a broken shell. Fire burst through every deck. Explosions followed one after another, until nothing remained but drifting metal and silence. But silence never lasts. A small, dark shape moved through the smoke, floating alive. Subject E9 drifted calmly in space, an oxygen unit strapped to his back. His breathing was steady. His body bruised but strong. Below him, the wreckage of the warship burned in pieces. He didn't look back. He had already said goodbye to that place. Far away, across the stars, the galactic network lit up with emergency signals. Unregistered explosion in Sector 17. Krall warship destroyed. No survivors. Possible human involvement. Repeat. Human involvement. In hidden control rooms and military bunkers, alien leaders leaned forward. Humans were supposed to be extinct, wiped out. But now, they're whispering again, and the galaxy was listening. On the shattered edge of Krall's Pride, one thing remained untouched. A black box floated silently among the debris, inside a transmission. A voice. The last message from the ship, sent seconds before the explosion. A calm human voice. "This was only the beginning. Earth remembers, so should you." The message repeated, over and over. Meanwhile, Karnak awoke, barely alive. Somehow he had survived. A collapsed bulkhead had shielded him from the final blast. Now he lay beneath twisted metal, his body half burned, one eye blind, pain surging through every nerve, but he breathed. That meant something. He crawled out through the wreckage, coughing. Sparks fell like rain. Fires crackled around him. Pieces of the ship drifted past, broken weapons, torn flags, even bones. As Karnak looked around, one truth screamed in his mind. The human let him live. Why? A message? A warning? Or both? Back at the hidden human base code named Bastion, when the signal was received, the commander stood before a large, digital map showing hundreds of red zones across the galaxy. Each zone had one thing in common. They were places where humans had once lived and been erased. But now, tiny green lights flickered to life on the map. 1, then 2, then 8, then dozens. Sleeping warriors. Hidden weapons buried truth. Waking up, one by one, in a dark chamber. Deep below, Bastion 1, a massive cryovault hissed. The chamber held rows of glass pods, each one filled with ice, wires, and a human form. Some looked old, some young. All frozen in time, one pod clicked. A nameplate glowed. Subject E1 to status, awakening back in space. Subject E9 attached himself to a drifting cargo plate. He activated a hidden signal beacon only one frequency. A human one, not for help, not for rescue, for pickup. He had done what he came to do now. The others would follow. Karnak limped through the last remains of the ship. Every step hurt. His world was gone. His captain was dead. His crew was Ashdod. And the worst part? They brought it on themselves. They thought the raid would be easy. They thought the human was weak. Now he understood. They had poked a ghost, awoke something far worse. He found a broken CUM device and recorded one final message. To any who hear this, ... This was no battle. We raided a colony and stole something ancient, a human, but not like the ones in cages or myths. He was a soldier, a memory with a heartbeat. He destroyed us. He let me live. I don't know why. But listen. Carefully, this is not the last. Earth is not gone. Earth is waking. That message would later be found by a crawl scout ship. They played it. They laughed. Then 2 days later, scout ship vanished without a trace. Only the echo of the message remained, drifting in space. Earth is waking, far from the flames of the destroyed warship, in the cold emptiness of space. A human floated calmly. Subject E-9, silent, waiting. His oxygen pack beeped slowly. Limited air, limited time, but he was not afraid. He had done what he came to do, and now others would hear. A small stealth craft appeared near him, black, sleek, invisible to most sensors. No sound, no signal, just purpose. The ship opened. HATCHE9 drifted inside. The door sealed shut. Inside the ship, lights glowed blue. He stood, breathing slow, not injured, just tired. A voice greeted him through the ship's speakers. Welcome home, E9. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic High Council met in emergency session. Alien leaders of all major species gathered in a panic. What do you mean a crawl warship was destroyed by one human? That's impossible. Earth is dead. No. Earth was dead. The footage was played for them all. A video taken from a probe near the wreck site. First, the explosion, then the message, you erased our worlds, you erased our names. Now we erase the silence. Earth remembers. The room fell silent. No one laughed. In a cold bunker on a desert moon, 2 alien mercenaries sat in a bar, watching the message on repeat. One leaned close. That human took down a whole ship by himself. The other said nothing. Just watched the screen, eyes wide. Then he whispered, he's not alone. Meanwhile, deep in the hidden facility called Bastion 1, the commander stood before dozens of glowing CRYO-pods. Inside each, a human weapon. Not just soldiers. Legends. Each one had trained in silence. Slept through centuries. Watched as Earth burned. Waited for the right moment. That moment had arrived. The commander turned to a communication. Officer, send the message. A button was pressed. Across the stars, secret receivers came alive. Tiny devices, buried deep in old colonies, under mountains, hidden in wreckage. They blinked green. A voice was heard, clear, strong, unmistakably human. To the galaxy that buried us, ... We remember you took our home. You burned our skies. You hunted our people. Now we rise one by one, till you remember who we are. Aboard the stealth ship, Subject E9 stood at a window. He saw Earth, not the old Earth, but a new one, artificial, rebuilt, smaller, faster, stronger. A home made from metal and memory. Welcome to Earth Reborn, the ship's AI said. E9 didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply nodded, then turned to the locker. Behind him, inside, new armor, sleek, black, unmarked. He put it on in the halls of the Kral Empire. Fear spread. Warlords whispered of ghosts. Admirals refused to patrol human. Zone's ships went dark, because now the unknown had a name, .E-9, the symbol of a sleeping power that had opened its eyes in the next week. 6 more Kral warships vanished, each left behind only a single message. This is what you started. And in the final scene, Karnakta only. Survivor was seen stumbling onto a neutral space station, burned, scarred eyes. Hollow, he carried one thing in his hand, a melted Kral medal. He dropped it on the ground, looked at the station guards, and said just 5 words, "You shouldn't have touched Earth."